what I love about data visualization is this potential for question farming. So John Tukey, who is the father of modern statistics, or one of the fathers of modern statistics, would call this the difference between confirmatory analysis and exploratory analysis. So confirmatory analysis is like, I have a question and I would like the data to answer it. So this is probably something that happens every day in your job, right? It's like, I have a question, I want the data to answer it, and when that gets confirmed, it feels nice, right? You feel good about that. But what I love is the other way around. It's like, can we come up with some questions that we have never even could imagine the answers for? And because I'm an artist, I also think about this in the context of emotions. So I think about confirmatory analysis as really giving you satisfaction, whereas I see question farming, this exploratory analysis, as giving you joy. And don't underestimate joy. If you can find joy in data, if your coworkers can find joy in data, that's when you dream of this stuff and you come up with ideas that you've maybe never been able to find before. And so I really encourage everyone to try to think about how can we foster this type of question farming in our day-to-day work. So when we were at when I was at the New York Times, we also we made this project that was actually started by this blog post. And so these two researchers figured out that your iDevice, your iPhone and your iPad, they were storing information on your device unsecurely in a known location. Whoa, bad news. That means that if anybody finds your device, they have a really clear record of everywhere that you've been while you own that device. So everyone was really scared about this. There's a big privacy uproar. Apple promised they would fix it, but they didn't for about a month. And in that month, what did we do? We tried to get as much data as we could. So we got people, we built them a tool, and they could donate their data. They could upload it to our server where it would be stored securely so nobody else could access it. But if they wanted to, they could volunteer to give that data to researchers. So the idea here was we could give them this data. These researchers, for them, it's gold, but it's gold that all these companies keep locked into their walled fortress because it's worth a lot of money for them. And so for me, this is funny, this project, which was called OpenPass, it doesn't exist anymore. I thought when I uploaded my data, oh God, this is going to be boring, right? Like, I know, it's me, I know my life, I know where I've been. But it turns out that as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, there's some things I didn't know about. And even more than that, it was this instrument to play back my memories. So I could play this little animation of us moving through, of me moving through time, and I could remember all these things that I maybe wouldn't have remembered before. And that this was an artifact or a result of this idea of data ownership. Like, if I give you the data, what are you going to do with it? And we don't know the answer to that question unless we give you that data. And ownership or custodianship or just being able to even see the data that you're producing every day is something that we don't usually experience. And I think magical things happen when we experience it. At the base of it, we can think about this fostering a personal relationship with our data. So Brian House, who is one of the lead researchers on the project, he built this map. It's a map of meaningful locations. So these are places where that had meaning in Brian's life. So this is work and his girlfriend's house and where he practices with his band and the bar that he goes to meet his friends on Fridays. And all of that is sitting in the data. So if I was to get any of your data, any of you watching right now, I could find out what your meaningful locations are. You know, the place you go to church, where you drop your kids off for soccer practice, the airport you usually go to, the garage that you practice in with your band. All those things are in your data. And this idea of meaning, I think, is really important for us to hold close to our heart as we move forward. So I did something quite different with this data. I took this data and I made this. So it's maybe a little hard to see, but each one of those little lines are arrows, and they are me moving. So the ones, they're cardinal directions. They're the ones that go up, go north. The ones that go down, go south. And the shorter ones are me moving slowly, and the big ones are me moving faster. And so what this is this like every time I moved, and it works as a clock. So it starts here, and it goes up and around throughout my day and ends. So you can see me going to work. I go to work northwest. And then you can see a break, and then lunchtime, and then I left work early a lot, and I went all over the city, and then sometimes some stumbly bits as I come home. And my idea here was can I build something that I would want to hang over my bed? Before I went to bed at night, I would look up at it, and I would say, good night, data. Which sounds weird. I know it sounds weird. But and the reason why it sounds weird is because these data are so dry, right? Look, there's one number. was another number. Oh, look, it's a third number. But these numbers actually, again, have meaning for me. The first one was when I stepped off of the plane at LaGuardia Airport to begin my new life in New York City. The second one was actually the same night I went to this Thai noodle restaurant on Amsterdam Avenue. I had a crisp glass of Riesling, and I just dreamed about what the years might hold for me. And that third one, that's the first time I met my partner. You know, she came through the door at the end of my hallway, and that's like this moment that really changed. And I always dreamed that I would be able to show that moment to our grandchildren. And 5 years ago, we started that process. I can't believe 5 years ago. And I do really hope that I'll be able to show him this data point.